Hello, everyone. Welcome. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. For today's video, I'm pulling out my colored pencils to create a fall-themed card. I'm also using the notched corner frames from Spellbinders. The largest one in this set is 5.5 by 4.25. There are 10 dies to this set. I love finding new background panel dies to create with, and these are so pretty. I also have a new BetterPress plate from Spellbinders. This one is called Autumn Thanks Frame. There are 2 plates to this set. You get this beautiful frame with mushrooms and fall leaves and berries. And then the sentiment says, "Thanks, you make the world a better place." I'm looking through my BetterPress inks to see which colors I want to use on this frame. And I decide to use this light brown one called Clay. I don't end up using the yellow ink. Let me take off the platen, and I'll put the plate in place. I'm trying to center it in the rectangle there. And then I can tape my cotton paper onto the platen. Set this aside for a minute while I ink up the plate. So I'm going to use this beautiful brown color. And I like to go over the plate several times just to get enough ink on the plate. You can redo this step if you need to, but mine ends up turning out just perfectly the first time. So I'll put the platen back on the magnets and pull out my Platinum 6 machine. I have the pretty turquoise Platinum 6. I believe scrapbook.com came out recently with a black machine, and that one looks really sleek and pretty. But for my craft room, all I have room for right now is one. I'll run that through the machine, and it stamps and embosses beautifully. Let me lift off the platen and give you a close-up look at this. I just love that brown ink on this. I'm going to cut around the edges of the outside of this so that I can put a piece of paper, a colored piece of cardstock behind it, just to give it more depth. And I did leave a little bit of a white border around the edges as well. I'm going to put another piece of the cotton porcelain cardstock on the platen and ink up the sentiment with some dark brown ink. This is called Bark. And then I can run this through the Platinum 6 as well. I love this dark brown color for the sentiment, and it's fun using these browns for my fall time cards instead of the blacks for a change. And then I'll pull this off the door of the BetterPress system, and that's stamped out just beautifully. But I'm going to use one of the notched corner dies to cut this sentiment out. This will be a little bit smaller than the opening on my wreath, but I'm going to set that aside for a minute and do a little bit of coloring with my Caran d'Ache Luminance colored pencils. So I've already started coloring this panel, and I'm just going over the leaves and the berries and the mushrooms very gently. I don't want to flatten out the embossing. So I'm using just a very light touch, and this way it doesn't hurt my hand or my wrist either. It does give kind of a, I don't know what to call it, kind of a scratchy or textured look. You could smoothen out your colored pencils with some Gamsol, but I like this textured look. It looks really pretty. And I'm just using some beautiful fall time colored pencils to color in these leaves. For the mushroom, I'm using a dark red and a light red. The dark will go down as some shadows to make it pop a little more. But I'm allowing some of the paper to show through for my highlights. And then this little sprig is going to be green, but I am going to add some yellow to it just to make it look a little more like a fall time green. These are the only colored pencils I have available to me now. I have all of, well, I should say most of my art supplies and stamps and dies still in boxes, and they're going to be there for a while, so I'm just going to have to make do with my luminance. I do miss my polychromos pencils a little bit, but I'm just going to have to be patient. These images overlap, and so I'm just going back and adding color to some of the leaves behind the mushrooms and other things that I missed. The colored pencils are really fun to work with on this very textured watercolor paper, so I enjoyed this coloring session. I'll add a little bit of brown to this yellow leaf to add some more shading and depth. And these images are nice because they have hash lines where the shading should go, so it makes it kind of a no-brainer. I'll add a little red, these orange leaves to add shading. And then I'm calling this done. It's so pretty. I love how this turned out. Now for the sentiment. I decided to come in with more of the light brown, the clay-colored ink, and just distress the edges of the sentiment a little bit. This will take some of the stark whiteness away. This paper I'm using is called Porcelain, and you can purchase this at the Spellbinders online shop. And now I can start putting this card together. I have my white card base and a piece of peach sorbet cardstock. Put the peach sorbet cardstock down first. Then my frame. I'm just using the Spellbinders paper runner to do this. And then I also cut out another frame using some Dusty Rose. This will cover up the lines on the interior of the frame. And then for my sentiment, I'm going to pop it up with some foam squares. These are also from Spellbinders, and they're kind of a low profile foam square. I really like these. I'll peel off the release paper and center this on the pink frame. I'm going to add a few gems around this panel. And this card is done. I'll give you a close-up look at it in just a minute here. But again, this is called the Autumn Thanks frame and the notched corner frames. I'll have all of these products that I used listed in the description box below if you're interested in checking them out. I really love the soft colors of this card. It was so much fun to put together. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that you all have a wonderful crafty day. Take care. Bye.